Hi, everyone. Harry here to talk about the warfare that is now breaking out involving the judiciary, the administration, and to some extent Congress over the appointment of United States attorneys. Now, from way back when, the basic way to appoint them is just as with judges, although it's not a lifetime appointment, the president submits the name of a nominee to the Senate, and the Senate confirms or rejects that person. But it often happens, for all kinds of reasons, that the political process doesn't work smoothly. And after a previous U.S. attorney has left, there remains an unfilled vacancy at the top. And there are really, really labyrinthine procedures for what happens next and what you can do and can't do that I think I will not try to load you up with, but just to point out what's going on here. U.S. attorneys are inferior officers under the Constitution, not principal ones like, say, a cabinet officer. That means that Congress has power to decide how they may be appointed, to make legal stipulations and pass statutes. And in the case of vacancies, they've done that because you don't want there to just be a headless office. There's all kinds of reasons that you just need somebody at the top who's signing indictments and taking responsibilities and the like, not to mention, hopefully, being sure the office is running well, etc. Okay, what Congress basically has said is you can put somebody in as an interim. That's a little different from acting. Again, don't worry too much about the distinction, but for 120 days. But when that 120 days is up, if you haven't completed the political process, because that's the idea, put somebody in as interim and then either that person or someone else is going to become the U.S. attorney. But if it doesn't work, Congress has put into place a way to make sure that the office still runs. And what it has held is, it's very sort of straightforward, under 28 U.S.C. 546D, the local court, the district court, gets together and decides who to put in and makes an appointment. That appointment lasts only until the political process finishes and the logjam is broken. They can put someone in, and if the next day the political process actually results in a confirmation, so that person then becomes. So it's a stopgap measure. I'll just say personally, I became U.S. attorney in 1998. There was a space between when my predecessor left and when the Senate confirmed me. And during that time, the court installed very solid professional person, a Republican who just generally was a pro, who knew how to keep the trains running on time. And that's who was the acting U.S. attorney until I arrived. That is straightforward, routine, happens all the time until now with this administration, because we've now had, they have, I'd say, reserved even among their crazy appointees some special slots for among the really, really craziest to be U.S. attorney. We're seeing this in New Jersey with Alina Habba. We've seen it in the Northern District of New York, and we've seen it in Los Angeles and a few others. So really confrontational people who, take Alina Habba, and I wrote about her in my Substack last Friday. She's there expressly to help make New Jersey turn red. The most inappropriate, unsophisticated, disqualifying statement you can imagine. But she's done all these things while she's been interim to make it happen. She's investigated Democrats and Democrats only and really crappy, unsubstantiated cases that she's had to drop. She's a disaster from the point of view, the objective point of view of nonpartisan law enforcement without fear or favor, what the Department of Justice has always stood for. Trump wants her. She's, one of his loyalists, has helped him in trials, etc. The same thing with some of these others. However, they didn't get her through the political process. The time has come and gone. 120 days of her appointment as interim, and she hasn't been confirmed yet. In fact, the Senate hasn't confirmed any of Trump's appointees yet. So it follows just as night from day that the court puts in its person, and the court did that in New Jersey, other places too, but just as an illustration. Now, notwithstanding what the administration is now saying, when that happens, the court's lookout is not to be, to support and undergird the administration's political choice. It's to make sure the office is running well, it's reliable, that they can really put stock in what assistants say, which is very much not the case in New Jersey, where, among other things, we learned that morale has just plummeted. So they chose another person, a respected first assistant U.S. attorney in the office who's been there 8 years, exactly the kind of person you want to choose. And then it's straightforward what happens. That person stays in their position until, if they insist on Haba, until they jam her through in the political process. Except you have the crazy, dogmatic, partisan, rabid leadership of the Department of Justice construing this routine implementation of a congressional stopgap measure as some terrible affront to the president. These are rogue judges trying to undermine executive authority. It's just complete crap. That's not at all what it is. They either misunderstand or they're taking it as an occasion to throw down the gauntlet. So in district after district, and most prominently now in New Jersey, you have the administration trying to parry and defeat this well-worn good government statutory provision. So in New Jersey, the judges appointed this person, solid person to keep things running till the political process runs its course. Within an hour or so, the Attorney General of the United States fired her. So the U.S. attorney position became again vacant. Now, again, sparing you all the incredible labyrinthine details of how this works and what remedies it provides, I am just going to say, because Desiree Grace, the name of the first assistant, had already been chosen by the courts, it's not clear that Bondi could herself fire her and maybe needed to be Trump personally. And moreover, it's not clear, and what they've tried, they've now, having fired her, tried to put back Haba in the position. To do so, we know under the law, and they see it this much, they had to withdraw her nomination. So she's no longer the nominee to be in front of the Senate. They're just going to have her be the acting U.S. attorney, which you can be until someone has been nominated and confirmed. But I think to all intentions, there won't be anyone. She'll just be the acting person. And what's noteworthy is how confrontational and extraordinary they are to not let the normal operation of law take place. Now, there's going to be a fight on this. This kind of thing hasn't happened before, and there is a claim under another statute that, again, I won't make you suffer with, that in fact, because she had already been nominated to be U.S. attorney, the department can't put her in now as acting. And what's going to happen is somebody's going to get convicted by an indictment that Haba signed, and they're going to bring a lawsuit saying my conviction and whatever this office did to me is null and void because it's headed by someone and it was signed and executed by someone who has no right to be there under Congress's scheme. So, as to all those things, I'll just I think it's enough for current purposes to know you have a very complicated set of back and forth and balance between Congress and the administration. Congress has the power to do it, and basically what Congress wants to do is keep an administration from doing end runs around the Senate's advice and consent power. If they could just make someone acting and not worry about it, that would cut Congress out of the game. So you have a really routine thing that past administrations would have said, okay, fine, we now have an acting U.S. attorney. We'll continue to confirm our choice. And there you go. The acting could last a long time. Not with this administration. They are apoplectic, see it as a partisan move against them, and are bound and determined to do any dirty trick, including, here's a woman who was there 8 years, and just because she was chosen by the district judges in New Jersey, they fire her for, really no good reason at all. But they are absolutely seeing this as an occasion to play hardball and do these different strategies. They've done something similar in the Northern District of New York. They anticipate doing something similar in the Central District of California, Los Angeles. So it's just a whole new area that's opened up of kind of warfare where the administration wants to neuter the power of Congress to set the rules and of the courts to, when they follow the rules and it's their turn to pick someone professional, good for the office, as opposed to just endorse the whatever, especially if it is a lackey that the administration has advanced. They want the office to run well. Nothing says that they have to go with the administration's choice, and indeed, they often don't, which is another point that this administration is obfuscating. It happens with some regularity. They choose someone else, for instance, in my case, until the process ran its course. So just keep your eye out for all kinds of nasties going on in U.S. attorney selections and their attempt to really force down the throat, even in the absence of a confirmation, people who are really just bad news in the most basic ways, like Alina Habba saying, I want to use my job to help the political fortunes of the Republican Party in New Jersey, everything that the Department of Justice doesn't stand for. So those are the overall stakes. And then more immediately, it's this really sort of, no holds barred, brass knuckles, unprecedented fights that the administration is taking to, including in its public disparagement, both Congress and the courts, saying that unless Donald Trump gets his pick, even though it hasn't been confirmed, some terrible abrogation of executive power has taken place. Totally wrong, totally BS, but totally a fight they are gearing up to have. Talk to you later. Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed this video and other Talking Feds content, please take a second to like and subscribe. Talk to you later.